Never depend on a single income. Make an investment to create a second source. Warren Buffett. Warren Buffett's quote sounds simple. At first glance, it appears to be a statement about investing. But underneath the surface lies a much deeper principle. A household's financial future is not determined solely by how much income it earns today. It is determined by the durability of the income it is likely to earn tomorrow. Throughout this season, we have been constructing a household financial operating system. We began with recurring surplus, we examined liquidity runway, we explored fixed cost rigidity, we measured leverage pressure, we introduced funding adequacy. Each dimension helped us understand a different aspect of financial strength. But even one of those dimensions ultimately depends on a single source, income. Without income, recurring surplus disappears. Without income, liquidity eventually declines. Without income, leverage pressure becomes overwhelming. And without income, future funding objectives become impossible to achieve. Funding adequacy answers the question, is the future funded? But another question remains. What happens if the engine that funds the future begins to fail? That question introduces our sixth and final dimension, income resilience. Imagine two households earning exactly $100,000 per year. Both maintain healthy liquidity, both generate recurring surplus, both are funding retirement, both have similar net worth. Most traditional financial analysis would treat them as equally strong, but they are not. One household earns income through stable employment, investment income, consulting income. The second household earns income through one employer, one industry, one source. Current income is identical, future risk is not. Income resilience exists because not all income streams possess equal durability, and durability matters. Throughout this series, we've discussed recurring surplus, liquidity runway, fixed cost rigidity, leverage pressure, funding adequacy. But all five dimensions depend on one thing, income. Income creates surplus. Income funds liquidity. Income supports debt payments. Income funds future obligations. Income creates optionality. Without income, every other dimension eventually deteriorates. Income is the engine that powers the entire system. Not all income is equally durable. Income resilience depends on several characteristics. A household dependent on one source of income is more vulnerable than one supported by multiple sources. Examples include employment income, business income, rental income, dividend income, interest income, consulting income, teaching income. The greater the diversification, the greater the resilience. Secondly, demand durability. Some skills remain valuable regardless of economic conditions. Others experience dramatic swings in demand. A physician may experience highly durable demand. A luxury real estate photographer may experience highly cyclical demand. Income resilience increases when demand remains stable. Thirdly, transferability. Can your income-generating skills be transferred? Could you work elsewhere, another city, another company, another industry? The greater the transferability, the more resilient the income stream. Fourthly, replacement difficulty. How easily could an employer replace you? The more difficult replacement becomes, the stronger your economic position. Specialized expertise increases resilience. Commodity skills reduce resilience. Within our framework, income resilience becomes the sixth dimension of the spider graph. The dimension evaluates number of income sources, industry stability, skill portability, customer concentration, employer concentration, historical income volatility. A household dependent on one employer, one customer, one industry, one specialized location may score poorly. A household with diversified, transferable, durable income streams scores highly. Until now, we've discussed income resilience conceptually, but within the household financial operating system, every dimension must ultimately become measurable. If it cannot be measured, it cannot be monitored. If it cannot be monitored, it cannot be improved. For that reason, income resilience becomes a composite score built from 5 separate dimensions. 1. Income source diversification. This evaluates how many independent income streams support the household. Score 1. One income source, one person, one employer, single point of failure. A score of 2, one primary income source, small secondary income source. A score of 3, 2 meaningful income sources. A score of 4, 3 or more independent income sources. And a score of 5, multiple income streams across multiple household members. No single source dominates household survival. 2, industry stability. This evaluates the durability of demand for the industry generating income. A score of 1, highly cyclical, frequently disrupted. Examples include speculative construction, commodity exploration, and highly cyclical sales. A score of 3, moderately stable, some economic sensitivity, and a score of 5, highly durable demand. For example, healthcare, utilities, education, essential services. Number 3, skill transferability. This evaluates how easily income-producing skills can be moved elsewhere. A score of 1, skills highly dependent on one employer or location. A score of 3, skills transferable to several employers. And a score of 5, skills transferable across industries, employers, geographic regions, self-employment. 4, income concentration risk. This measures dependence on a single customer, employer, or payer. A score of 1, one customer or employer represents virtually all income. A score of 3, largest source represents roughly half of income. And a score of 5, no source represents more than 25% of household income. Fifthly, income volatility. This evaluates stability of income over time. A score of 1, income fluctuates dramatically. Large swings year to year. A score of 3, moderate fluctuations. And a score of 5, highly predictable and stable income. There's minimal volatility. So the overall score becomes the income resilience score, which is the sum of diversification, industry stability, transferability, concentration, and volatility. And because there are 5 different dimensions and a maximum score of 25 points, it's the sum of those 5 dimensions over 25 multiplied by 100. And this is going to produce a score between 0 and 100. So for example, a household scores diversification equals 4, industry stability is equal to 5, transferability is 4, concentration risk is 3, and volatility is 4. This gives a total of 20 out of 25. So the income resilience score is 80. Okay, a highly resilient income engine. Now, above I mentioned that we multiplied that by 100. Actually, we multiply it by 4. Never mind. Disregard what I said. So we get a score out of 25, and then that's going to give us a decimal, and we multiply that by 100. Okay. So income resilience now becomes the 6th dimension of the household financial architecture spider graph. The spider graph now evaluates recurring surplus, liquidity runway, fixed cost rigidity, leverage pressure, funding adequacy, and income resilience. Together, these dimensions provide a complete picture of household financial strength, because ultimately, recurring surplus tells us whether the system generates fuel, liquidity runway tells us whether the system can survive, fixed cost rigidity tells us whether the system can adapt, leverage pressure tells us whether, or rather how much stress exists. Funding adequacy tells us whether the future is funded, and income resilience tells us whether the engine that powers everything is likely to continue operating. Many people believe optionality comes from money. Money certainly helps, but optionality often begins much earlier. It begins with resilient income. Many people believe optionality comes from money. Money certainly helps, but optionality often begins with resilient income. The person with durable skills and multiple opportunities possesses more flexibility. The individual with fragile income possesses fewer choices. Income resilience creates optionality because it expands future possibilities. A resilient income stream allows career changes, geographic mobility, entrepreneurship, lifestyle flexibility, earlier retirement, future funding. Income resilience protects the entire system. So here's the complete household architecture. The 6 dimensions now work together. Recurring surplus asks, is the system generating fuel? Liquidity runway asks, can the system survive shocks? Fixed cost rigidity asks, can the system adapt? Leverage pressure asks, how much stress is the system carrying? Funding adequacy asks, is the future funded? And income resilience asks, will the engine continue operating? Together, they create a complete picture of household financial strength. Not a snapshot, a system. Not a balance, an architecture. Not a current position, a future trajectory. A household can survive without growth. A household can survive without luxury. A household can survive without perfect optimization. But eventually, no household survives without income, because income is the source from which everything else flows. The stronger and more durable the income engine becomes, the stronger every other dimension becomes. Income creates surplus, surplus creates liquidity, liquidity creates resilience. Resilience preserves flexibility, flexibility enables funding, funding creates optionality, and optionality creates freedom. That is why income resilience completes the household financial operating system. Because ultimately, the strongest financial systems are not those with the highest incomes, they are those with the most durable incomes.